Let's start with a few words there.
Well, sure. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here in Arkansas. We're on day 6 of our 7-day tour, our southern tour through Super Tuesday, the March 1st states, the SEC primary, they're calling it, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. And I'll tell you, the support we're seeing, it really is incredible. What we are seeing on the ground here in Arkansas, all across the South, and in the early primary states in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, we're seeing conservatives come together, conservatives united. And we're seeing the old Reagan coalition reassembling. We're seeing conservatives, the evangelicals, and libertarians. We're seeing young people and Hispanics and African Americans and Jewish voters and women and Reagan Democrats all coming together.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your meeting next week in Texas with evangelicals and how it fits into this week?
Oh, sure.
What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, we are meeting with a great many evangelical leaders from across the country. We'll be meeting with them in West Texas. Having a chance just for some fellowship. We'll visit back and forth. Some of them are supporting us already. Others we're hoping will be supporting us. And we'll have a frank and candid conversation. And it has been really our strategy from day one when we launched the campaign. It was very simple. It's to unite conservatives. If conservatives unite, we win. And our objective has been to follow a biblical principle, to build on a foundation of stone, not a foundation of sand. So we've worked systematically with the grassroots. The strength of this campaign is over 160,000 volunteers nationwide. Its contributions, we've had roughly 600,000 contributions, people all over the country going to tedcruz.org. And that is the strength, it is the passion, it is the fire of this campaign, it is the grassroots rising up and coming together.
It's a long time.
Well, Donald a couple of days ago said that he could see it coming down to the two of us, and I think that's entirely possible. If you look at where the polling numbers are, it more and more seems to be headed in that direction. And I couldn't be more encouraged every day. We're seeing conservatives coalescing more and more behind our campaign. And as you'll recall, you were there right at the beginning. That was our plan from day one. Unify conservatives. What Washington wants is Washington wants us divided. Wants a chunk of conservatives over here, a chunk of evangelicals over there, a chunk of Tea Party folks over there, a chunk of libertarians over there. That's how we lose. It's how a Washington establishment candidate sneaks in and gets the nomination with 23% of the vote. And if that happens, that's how we lose the general. That's how we lost the general. What is abundantly clear, if we nominate another candidate in the mold of a Bob Dole or a John McCain or a Mitt Romney, all three of them are good, honorable men who love this country. But what they did the only way to win is to bring back to the polls the millions of conservatives who stayed home in 2008 and 12, to bring back to the polls the evangelical Christians, the Reagan Democrats, the working men and women across this country, and we're seeing that happening each and every day.
You're in Governor Huckabee's home state. He is sliding in the polls currently. What is it that you can do for Arkansans, for these southern states?
Well, listen, I like and admire Mike Huckabee. I think he did a good job as governor here. I've enjoyed spending time with him on the campaign trail. You know, my focus as a candidate has been focusing on my positive, optimistic, conservative vision for this country and my record of standing and fighting for conservative principles. And I think primary voters are tired of what I call campaign conservatives, those who talk a good game on the trail but haven't walked the walk. And I think what they're looking for is a consistent conservative, someone who is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You know, a lot of focus in this race has focused on Donald Trump, and I've said many times I'm grateful Donald Trump is running because he's helped frame the central issue in this race as who will stand up to Washington. Now, if that's the central issue, the natural follow-up is, okay, who has stood up to Washington? Who's taken on not just Democrats, but leaders in our own party And in that regard, my record is materially different from every other candidate on that stage, whether it is standing with millions of Americans and leading the fights to try to stop Obamacare, or standing with millions of Americans and leading the fight against President Obama's illegal executive amnesty, or standing with millions of Americans and leading the fight to stop federal taxpayer funding for Planned Parenthood, or standing with millions of Americans to stop this catastrophic Iranian nuclear deal, which is the single greatest national security threat facing America. Every one of those, I think the reason we're seeing conservatives uniting behind our campaign is they're looking for someone who they can trust to do what he said he would do. And I would mention also, in the wake of Paris, in the wake of San Bernardino, the stakes of this election have become materially higher. People are looking for a strong commander-in-chief. The most important determination any American will make in this election is who is prepared to be commander-in-chief, who has the judgment, who has the experience, who has the strength, who has the clarity of vision to stand up to our enemies, to defeat radical Islamic terrorism. And sadly, both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton have demonstrated they're utterly incapable of doing so. Indeed, they won't even utter the words radical Islamic terrorism, much less design or implement a coherent strategy to defeat it. If I am elected president, we will utterly destroy ISIS. And as commander-in-chief, I will keep this nation safe. And there is no more important responsibility for the President of the United States than to keep America safe.
All right, last question.
Last question with Senator Rubio over the NSA's goal collection of phone records. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas has a bill that he introduced that will restore some of those powers, and I wonder what you think about that.
I don't think it makes sense for the federal government to be collecting bulk phone metadata from millions of law-abiding citizens. I believe we can protect our constitutional rights, we can honor the Bill of Rights, and we can also use vigorous tools to target terrorists. I was very proud to join with conservatives in the Senate and House, people like Senator Mike Lee, crafting the USA Freedom Act. The USA Freedom Act did two things. Number one, it ended the federal government's bulk collection of phone metadata of millions of law-abiding citizens. Lois Lerner and others like her can no longer access the personal phone records of millions of law-abiding citizens. That was a good change. But secondly, it strengthened the ability of national security and law enforcement to target terrorists. It expanded the universe to which we could search to find terrorists before they commit acts of terror and to prevent acts of terror. And strengthening those tools was important. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, and we saw in the wake of San Bernardino that the expanded tools the USA Freedom Act gave law enforcement gave the national security and intelligence apparatus the ability to search and track down leads based on that act of terrorism. Listen, the problem we have in the Obama administration is a fundamental problem. It's a problem of political correctness. Because the president, as a matter of policy, refuses to say the words radical Islamic terrorism, the administration is not effectively protecting us against it. So, for example, the San Bernardino terrorists, when they came in, the female terrorist had made public social media posts calling for jihad. And yet the Department of Homeland Security, as a matter of policy, refuses to search social media because they thought it would be inappropriate. That doesn't make any sense. We need a president, we need a federal government that is clear-eyed and serious about protecting this country. And it's worth remembering, border security is national security. The front line with ISIS is not just Iraq and Syria. It is also Kennedy Airport in the Rio Grande, and we need a president, a commander-in-chief, who will focus every day on keeping our children safe, securing the borders, and keeping America safe. All right, thank you.